Hello all, welcome to channel Tech Tutorials Learn by Doing. In this channel, we post tutorial videos on tools and technologies that are being used in IT industry. This tutorial series covers tutorial on Amazon Web Services, also known as AWS. So let's get started for the day. In this tutorial, we'll learn about AWS Autoscaling Group. Autoscaling group is a group of servers in which new servers are added whenever there is demand for high computing or memory requirement, and those servers are automatically removed when the requirement goes below the threshold. In this tutorial, we'll make use of concepts that we have learned in PPC Lab and EC2 Lab. We'll make use of PPC and security group that we had created in PPC Lab, and we'll make use of images of machine that we had created in EC2 Lab. Since there are group of servers, we need load balancer to distribute load across multiple servers. And load balancer has to reside in public subnet since it has to face internet. So we had to create one extra subnet that we had not created in our PPC lab. For that, I'll go to services and click PPC here. We need one public subnet since we had one public and two private subnets. Your PPC subnets, and I'll click one create subnet. Subnet name is public subnet 2. We had one for east 1A, so let's create this for east 1B. But first of all, let's see CIDR address so that it will not be overlapping. We had for 10.0.0.0, 10.0.1.0, so we have empty for 10.0.2.0. So let's note that 10.0.2.0. 10.0.2.0/24. Public zone in 1B, subnet name public subnet 2. Let's keep other setting as it is. Create one subnet. You can see that our subnet is created successfully. We have 4 subnets. Let's enable auto assign IP public IP for this also. So public subnet 2 action auto assign IP address, enable auto assign IP address, save it. It is in 1B. Let's quickly validate for subnet 1 also. It should be in 1A. It's 1A. Okay. Now we are good to go. So let's create load balancer first. I'll go to EC2. EC2 dashboard. Load balancer. Create one load balancer. Let's name as web server load balancer. It is internet facing. 1A public subnet, 1B public subnet. It is saying that we do not have internet gateway attached, so we'll attach it in shortly. For newly created subnet, we had created one security group for our load balancer, so let's use that load balancer security group. Configure routing web server target group. Let's name it as that. In path index.php, we had created this in our EC2 lab. We'll leave other setting as it is. Autoscaling group will add instances to this load balancer here. So it is being created. You can see that start is processing. So let's add internet gateway to our newly created VPC as error was thrown there. On subnet, public subnet 2, public subnet 2, and on route table, and route, you can see that there is not any route. So let's route through internet gateway. Internet gateway. We have one internet gateway and saves in that. Now let us create our autoscaling group. But before that, we had to create one launch configuration. So let's click on launch configuration and click on create launch configuration, web server launch configuration. I'll make use of AMI that I had created in our EC2 lab. If you haven't watched that, then I'll put description link in the description section. Instance type T2 micro, since it will offer us free tier T2 micro. Let's leave other setting as default. Will not enable monitoring since it will charge us extra money. Security group, we had created one security group, so let's use that. Web server security group. Key pair, we also had that one key pair. Choose existing key pair and my web server. Yes, I have this key pair. Okay, now our launch configuration is created. Now let us create autoscaling group from it. Click on it and on action. Click on create autoscaling group. Let's name it web server autoscaling group. Launch configuration is already provided. Create next. VPC is lab VPC. Subnets are two subnets, private subnet 1 and private subnet 2. Since our instances should be in private subnet, it should not be accessible from internet directly. Only load balancer should be able to connect it. So let's click on next. We have created one load balancer already in this video. So let's choose that. Let's decrease the health check to 30 seconds. Next, minimum capacity is 1. And whenever there is high demand for computing or memory requirement, then it will should excel to 2 servers or 2 instances. Scaling policy. Let's define one scaling policy on what condition new server will be added. So whenever average CPU utilization is above, let's say 40%, we need 30 seconds to warm up before including in metrics. Let's add notification also. By adding notification, we'll get mail whenever there is more server added to our autoscaling group or removed from our autoscaling group. So let's create one topic. Autoscaling one is already not created, but I'll create another one here. Autoscaling server notification. Create a topic. Autoscaling server notification. Let's add a recipient name. I'll add my email here. gmail.com. We should get email from this type of events. So let's click next. On tag, let's name our servers as web server. Click on next. Let's create auto scaling group. Then I should get one email here asking for me to subscribe. Let's wait for some time. Yeah, I got email. So let's confirm the subscription so that I will get further emails whenever there are new server added or removed from our auto scaling group. You can see that our auto scaling group has been successfully created. Let's go to sudo dashboard, instances. Currently there are not any instances, but new instances it is running and it is in initializing state, meaning that our auto scaling group has successfully added our server. We should get notification also for that. So we can see that here for this auto scaling group, web server is added, new instance is added. So let's go to load balancer. Load balancer, it is active. So let's copy our DNS name and paste here. Should take some time since our web server is in warm up state, but we can see that it is already working. So let's validate our IP also. sudo dashboard, sudo instances. Let's click here. Our IP address is 10.0.3.50. 10.0.3.50. So we have successfully created auto scaling group and we have distributed traffic through load balancer. Now let us add some artificial traffic to this server so that another server will be added. But before that, since the instances are in private subnet, we should create one jump server in public subnet and we should log in through it. So for that, I'll go to instances and launch instance. Let's create new instance here, but for this I'll create Red Hat instance so that we'll have knowledge of both Ubuntu and Red Hat. So I'll select this and let's go with free tier lab apc public subnet 2. It should be in public subnet. So I don't want any other setting. All settings should be as default. Let's add storage, leave it as default. Add tag and on name, let's name it as jump server. Configure security group. We already have one security group for jump server. Yes, jump server security group. Let's click on review and launch. Let's launch this machine. Yes, I have this skip here. Let's launch it. We can see that our instance is in pending state. It will take a while before it will go to ready state or running state. So I'll pause the video for some time and I'll connect it again when it is in ready state. We can see that instance state is running and security check have passed. So let's connect to it using MobaXTOM application. For this, I'll copy its public IP, or we can also go to action and click and connect so that we'll also know username through which we have to connect. So let's open side by side. Click on session. I need SSH session. Let's paste IP. Give here username. We can see that ec2-user, ec2-user, and on advanced setting, I will have to give location of private key. It's on desktop. So my server PEM open Let's click on OK. It will connect to our remote machine. So it's been connected. Let's switch to root user. So for connecting to our web server, we require PM file here. Since I do not have PM file here, I'll paste the content of PM file here and connect to our instance in private subnet. So let's go here. It's on desktop. Let's read the content and keep it side by side. So let's create new file, pi my web server servr.pm. So let's copy this content, paste it here. You can see detail for connecting to the server in this web server. So let's click it in here and click and connect. It says that we have to first send permission to read. So let's do that. Again, it says to paste this command for connecting. So let's paste this command. Yes. It says that we have to log in using Ubuntu user rather than root user. So let's cancel it and write here Ubuntu instead of root. Ubuntu. It says that we have been already connected to the server. So let's validate the IP also. IP is 10.0.3.50. Let's validate 10.0.3.50. Means we are connected to our web server, which is in our private subnet through help of Jump server. So let's give the state to this web server so that another web server will be created. For this, I will switch to root user first, sudo su. Then I'll install the utility called stress. So apt-get install stress. So its stress seems to be installed. So let's give stress to the CPU. Stress, CPU stress. We are initializing 8 workers and timeout to be 600 seconds, meaning that 1 minute. Now there will be load in our system. Let's keep it to background by hitting Ctrl Z and busy. You can see that there is one background job. Let's enter top so that we can see stress to our CPU. You can see that our CPU is at 100% stress. Let's type Q for quitting and let's go here. It will take some time since we have not enabled CloudWatch service. It will take 5 minutes at max before initializing our new instance. So let's wait till then. I have paused the video and resume again. So let's go to EC2 dashboard. EC2 dashboard, and on instances, we can see that the next instance is being initialized. It's taking some time. And if we go to auto scaling and auto scaling group, we can see our history. Click on monitoring. Click on EC2. It shows that the CPU utilization has been increased, due to which the new server is being provisioned. So we can click on activity also to see what activity are being performed. We can see that it is launching instance at this time. A new instance, new request has been created. A new trigger has been created. So let's go to EC2 dashboard again and see if instance has been initialized or not. So instance are already running. So let's refresh it. We can see that it's passing to 2 IP addresses, meaning that new server is automatically added and new server is receiving the traffic that has been sent through our load balancer. Let's validate IP also. 10.0.1.173, 10.0.1.173. If you refresh again, it will pass to old EC2 instance. So to conclude the lab, today we have created auto-scaling group. We have added notification so that we get notification whenever new server will be added to our system, and we have given manual stress to our web server and see the auto-scaling in action and validate it using our Google Chrome or web browser also. So that's for it today, guys. In next video, we'll learn about AWS Lambda to see how we can run our code without managing the servers. If you like my video, give on like button and subscribe to my channel so that you will not be missed on our future tutorials. Thank you.